Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank the panel for taking the time to be able to be here. This is an important issue for all Western states, probably very important, I know, for our district in Colorado. And Ms. Maxwell, you're a Coloradoan. Great to be able to have another one here. You're pretty familiar with the topography that we have unique in the state of Colorado and the ecology in the different regions, very diverse.
Very.
You've spoken to this, but to be able to get it site-specific in Colorado, as the BLM, when they are designating critical habitat, taking in good, sound science in terms of designating areas of critical habitat for the greater sage grouse and Gunnison sage grouse?
Well, as far as I know, they are relying on the state's maps for the priority areas, and then they've expanded the area to include corridors, at least as far as it is in the RMP revision that's going on up there. And then they've expanded it, and there's not a whole lot of science or research out there on these, you know, these migratory corridors and whether they're even present.
Yeah, you're a biologist, and I appreciated actually in your testimony you seem to be able to have a passion for having actual science.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to have it peer-reviewed, to be able to have it analyzed, to be able to make sure that we're actually trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
But you seem to be indicating that the BLM actually is doing a fairly sloppy job when it comes to designating these areas.
Well, the critical habitat areas, a lot of it is correlated with the state's information, but the conservation measures and the one-size-fits-all approach they're taking is what's going to really be damaging, because, as you said, the ecology of just Colorado alone is huge, let alone across 11 states. And they can't do that.
Do you see a lot of, are there inconsistencies between the different agencies that are involved when we're talking about the Gunnison sage grouse, greater sage grouse? Are there inconsistencies in terms of the policies that they have for trying to be able to preserve habitat and to be able to reinvigorate the species?
Between the state and BLM?
Right.
Yeah, the states generally have better data and from a local level, and BLM is trying to go in and require 3% disturbance thresholds, which may not be appropriate at that local level. And the state and the local working groups are the ones that have that information.
Now, is it your experience, have you seen, if we go into Colorado, we look at the MOU that was put through with, in southwest Colorado, southeast Utah, I believe we have 11 different counties that are all trying to be able to put together a program of conservation to be able to do the right thing. This is not in dispute. Are you seeing that the federal government is ignoring these policies even after, I believe it's been something like $40 million in public-private sector funds have been addressed, that it's just more about trying to drive an agenda as opposed to actually reinvigorate the species?
As it's reflected in the TT, and as I've seen in the DRMPs, they haven't been taking into account the local level MOUs and plans.
They haven't taken into account the local levels and the local plans that are going on.
And, yeah.
And we've actually seen, I've been on site, we're seeing remarkable efforts that are being made at the state and the local levels. Do you think actually when we're getting ready to make policy, it comes out of Washington, D.C., would it be useful maybe for Secretary Jewell, we've extended the invitation in this committee for her to be able to come out to Colorado, out to Wyoming, Montana, to be able to come on site and actually visit this and to be able to see what our governors, our state legislatures, our local farmers and ranchers are doing rather than a one-size-fits-all program out of Washington?
I think that would be very useful for her to see the differences in what's going on out there.
I don't know if they're listening in today, but we'll extend that invitation once again. And I know the governor of Colorado has extended the invitation as well, and love to be able to get them over into Utah because there are certainly a lot of challenges. I think one thing that concerns me as well is the short shrift that is being given on the impact of these rules and regulations on private property, impacting real lives. We have a report that came out from the Western Governors Association saying it will have dramatic negative impacts with some of this designation economically to people in my region that are struggling to be able to provide for their families. Is there any science, any concern for that one other part of the environment, the humans that actually live there?
No, the NTT report doesn't take into account, impacts to humans. Its only concern is the sage grouse and protecting sage grouse at really any cost.
Great. And I've got to tell you, I've got some families that are having a tough time making ends meet right now, and they're seeing their livelihoods being threatened by some of these policies that are not being backed up by sound science. It's going to hurt their prospects for their future as well. So I see my time's expired. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I thank the gentleman from Colorado. The chair now recognizes the return